Welcome! Today we're adding HTTP requests to a Tauri app. We'll build a quote of the day app that fetches data from an API. Let's verify you have Rust and Node.js installed. Great! Let's create our quote app. We'll create a new Tauri project from our base template. Copy the template and name it Quote App. Now let's install the dependencies. Project created. Next, we'll add the HTTP plugin. We'll use tauri-plugin-http for making HTTP requests. This plugin allows your app to fetch data from any API. Add it with cargo, add in the src tauri folder. Also install the npm package for the frontend. The HTTP plugin is now ready to use. Let's configure the Rust backend. First, we'll look at the current file. This is the default template. We'll add the HTTP plugin. Now we open it in Vim to edit. The CFG_ATR attribute configures the mobile entry point. The run function is the entry point for our Tauri application. We initialize the Tauri builder with default settings. The opener plugin is included for opening URLs. Here we add tauri_plugin_http to enable HTTP requests. Let's save and view the complete backend code. Next, we need to configure permissions for HTTP requests. HTTP requests require explicit permissions in Tauri. We need to edit the capabilities file to allow network access. This JSON file defines what our app is allowed to do. The schema helps with auto-completion in your editor. The identifier uniquely names this capability set. Windows Array specifies which windows get these permissions. Core and opener defaults are standard permissions. HTTP default enables basic HTTP functionality. We add a scope to define allowed URLs. The allow array lists URL patterns our app can access. HTTPS* allows requests to any HTTPS URL. In production, restrict this to specific API domains. Now let's build the React frontend to fetch and display quotes. We import useState and useEffect from React for state management. We import fetch from the Tauri HTTP plugin. This fetch function works like the browser's native fetch API. We define a quote interface with content and author fields. TypeScript interfaces help catch errors at compile time. Our app component manages 3 state variables. Quote holds the fetched data, or null if not loaded yet. Loading tracks whether a request is in progress. Error stores any error message if the request fails. The fetchQuote function is our main data fetching logic. We set loading to true and clear any previous errors. The try block contains our fetch call to the quotes API. We use the dummy JSON quotes API, which returns random quotes. We check if the response is okay before parsing JSON. Response.json parses the response body as JSON. We extract content and author from the response. If an error occurs, we catch it and store the message. The finally block sets loading to false, regardless of outcome. UseEffect with an empty array runs fetchQuote on mount. This means we fetch a quote when the app first loads. The UI has a dark theme with padding and minimum height. We show loading text while the request is in progress. Errors are displayed in red if something goes wrong. When we have a quote, we display it in the styled card. The quote text is displayed in italics with large font. The author is shown below in a muted gray color. The new quote button calls fetchQuote to get another quote. It's disabled while loading to prevent multiple requests. Here's the complete front end. Let's save and test it. Here's our Quote of the Day app running. On load, it fetches a random quote from the API. The quote text and author are displayed beautifully. Let's click the refresh button to get a new quote. The app fetches another random quote instantly. Each refresh gives us inspirational wisdom. That's HTTP requests in Tauri. Fetch any API with ease.